Howdy folks, it's Zach, and welcome back to my Star Wars Tips and Tricks section. And tonight, we have a very, very special episode tonight. We've got a lot of big changes coming up in Knights of the Eternal Throne. And so tonight, in this episode, we're talking about gearing up, since commendations are going away. And with me tonight, of course, is my usual co-hosts, Penny and Xenoff. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And we have a new guest with us tonight. This is Szadek, and Szadek has had the pleasure of playing in the beta, so in one way, he's kind of a product service expert. How you doing tonight, Szadek?
I'm doing well tonight. How are you?
Very good. All right, so let's get cracking here a little bit. So obviously, a lot of stuff has come out from Eric Musco and the dev teams about about KOTET. I mean, a lot, but I'm also kind of like with the proviso of we don't know tons. This is actually kind of one of the reasons I was looking forward to seeing Szadek on tonight. So, like, my biggest question as a player who hasn't really been keeping up with it is that if commendations are going away, like, what does gearing up look like in Knights of the Eternal Throne?
Well, I don't know how much I'm allowed to divulge. I don't know what Musco has announced, but there is the leveling up your galactic command. And each time you rank that up, you get gearboxes or little things of gear like you would in a cartel pack or something.
Right.
Isn't it very similar to how they used to do the PvP gearing back in 1 point something or another? That you would get like the PvP, I don't know, bundles? I wasn't playing at that time, but a lot of people have said it's very similar to how they used to do old PvP gear. Am I right?
Yeah, you're pretty much correct from what I've heard. It's like Battlemaster gear, Centurion gear, get the gearbox, hope RNG you get what you need. That's what I've heard it taken to a lot on Reddit and on the forums.
Looking for some love from RNGesus. Okay, because if for my audience, if you guys haven't been keeping up, a release went out from the dev team that commendations, what we've been using to gear up at different levels of rating, if you haven't been able to actually be in a raid and get like the really high quality, superbly balanced gear, you would always kind of be able to go up to a vendor, spend some crystals that you earned from just having been there, and get something that you could use as like a stat placeholder until you could get like the finely tuned defined gear. But now that's all going away. Instead, at the end of November, at the end of this month, all of the commendations that you have and all the data crystals that you have are getting converted into I almost said Gil. I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 too much. I was like, are getting converted into Gil. I'm like, oh, it's because I have like 2 million Gil in Final Fantasy too. So I keep thinking like when I think 2 million Gil, 2 million currency. Anyway, it's gonna be converted into credits, and so 2 million credits is the cap. So before the end of the month, the question is like, what do you do with your comms? Are you trying to buy more gear? That's all gonna get replaced anyway. Do you just take I almost said Gil again. I was like, do you take the credits that they give you? Anyway, so the big question I've had actually is, with gearing up, will we now have gear that's available for cash instead? Will we have like a whole new vending system? Because the economy's been kind of a mess. I mean, money doesn't really go out of the Star Wars economy. And so I'm wondering if these changes are a precursor to finding ways of getting cash out of the economy.
I had heard that crafting is going to be a very viable thing in 5.0. You'll be able to craft relevant gear for whatever it is you're doing. Obviously not, high-end hard mode and nightmare operations, but competently enough to supplement until you get the end-game gear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of like the old comm gear or something equivalent to that?
Yeah. Or kind of like what they started doing with the 212 gear.
Okay. I mean, that would make sense. They do that with every other gear level anyways. Like, you have gear that you can craft. So it wouldn't make sense to me why they wouldn't do that anyways. Because there's going to be people who don't touch raids or, anything else like that. So they have to have a way to get gear and then to be able to get the galactic command points.
Yeah, and help me out here, guys, because I'm going to pretend to be a viewer here, and maybe I've been bouncing around between a bunch of different games. What is exactly galactic command points? Like, what is the galactic command system?
The Galactic Command, as far as I'm aware, is going to encompass everything you already do in the game as far as dailies or heroics or even flashpoints, the new uprisings coming out. It's going to encompass all of that. So everything you participate in is going to go towards Galactic Command.
And what you do is you get the points, and then you can turn those points into gear. You can purchase crates or boxes or whatever they label them as, and cross your fingers and hope you get gear that is viable for your class. Because if you're a merc, you could potentially get healer gear, from my understanding, right, guys?
I think it was based off of your current spec. So even if you were a class that had dual specs, you would get stuff relevant to your spec.
That's good. That was one of my main concerns.
But
Yes.
the risk is you could get 10 million bracers and
Yeah, that would
And
suck.
I don't know about you guys, but I already have about 15 bajillion bracers from just doing 4.0 content.
God damn it, another bracer!
That's what it's like. I don't
Pretty
want
much.
it.
Controller
I
against the
don't
wall.
need it.
Yeah. Actually, that was something I was thinking about, was because this is something that Star Wars has really been shifting more and more and more into, as a gambling model for all rewards. And it kind of started with the cartel market system of just, hey, I'm spending my free cash on cartel coins, so now I'm going to go and try to get this crate of loot, and hopefully I'll get something out of that pack that I really like. But now it's actually taking, like, it sounds like it's taking a little bit more center stage inside the game for rating, and now you're kind of gambling a little bit on whether you're going to get the rewards that you're looking for even there.
Mm-hmm. And that makes it really frustrating. When you're gearing up and when you're doing prog, you're looking at what people need, and you're going for that operation that gives you what people need. So, like,
Right.
S&V gives you a lot of loot because there's a lot of bosses. So you can cover multiple people, and we try to gear that way. Well, doing it this way, I mean, you're kind of on your own. It could take one person longer than the next because of RNG and just, I opened my box this time and I got another belt, or I got another pair of boots. And, that right there is just, it's kind of disheartening. Obviously, we haven't seen it live. Maybe the RNG with those boxes will be a little bit better. But for me, I mean, if I end up with like 16 pairs of bracers again, I'm going to be kind of upset.
I'll be honest, I'm sort of the outsider looking in right now because I have taken a break from SWTOR.
Mm-hmm.
As it stands...
Oh, wait, let me pause.
thing
What have you been playing on your break, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
I've been playing, off the top of my head, I have messed around. I'm going to shut my door 1 sec. Sorry, guys.
I think the audience can hear what games you've been playing. No, let's be honest about it, man. Let's be real. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I gotta go. Look at the time.
Mom can't hear about the games you've been playing? Like,
Ooh,
okay.
pitchfork.
Okay.
I've been playing Division a good bit, and with the 1.4 update and everything coming out, it's much better than it was.
Yeah.
And Destiny. Those are my big two, and that sort of segues into what I was talking about, which is the way they're doing loot now, which is like heavily RNG based, is how Destiny's loot is in a raid. So you could go into a raid and say you're like, okay, I need to get a helmet and a chest from this, and then you get neither of them. Well, then you're screwed until the next week. You can run it again if you want to, but there's no such thing as... There is such a thing as comms, quote-unquote, but it's not going to get you loot better than what you have. It's going to get you, like, comm gear, essentially. Yeah. And if this is the way they're going to do it, they need to do what Destiny doesn't do, which is I don't know how they would do this, but put in some sort of system. So when you open that loot crate, it looks at what gear you have, and it says, okay, I'm going to weigh it more towards a chest piece, because that's what they need, or I'm going to weigh it more towards relics, or what have you. So that you're not getting screwed with, like Penny said, 5 sets of bracers, 10 sets of bracers, 13 belts, whatever.
Okay. Well,
sorry.
No, go for it, Szadek.
Oh, I was just going to say, there are other games that read your average item level. I think it wouldn't be too much of a far cry to be able to, if games can tell what item level you're wearing, they they would be able to be like, okay, well, they have, this item level in this slot, and this and that slot. We can, maybe segue it towards, something else that is lower on their item level.
That'd be nice, but then people could jimmy that system so they could keep getting more and more loot. Because then they would just say, like, oh, well, if the computer's reading what I don't have, or compared to what I do have, then if I just don't equip these XYZ items, then I'm sure to get blank.
Exactly.
You
would have to do a heavy balancing act.
I think Terra reads your inventory, too, so...
Oh, that's slick. Because I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV a bunch, and the cool thing about, like, Final Fantasy XIV is I hit 50 on my monk, and I got all this great gear crafted for me by one of my other guild members. And a huge shout out to Dare to Dream from Final Fantasy XIV and that wonderful guild that I'm a part of there for giving me tons of credits and lots of gear. Anyway, one of the guys in there, his name's Powdered Sugar, and he gave me like a whole set of gear. It was like great. I hit 50, he just handed it to me. He's like, here you go. Finally crafted, awesome. And I just keep running dungeons. I've stacked up all these tomes for even nicer quality gear. For 2 classes I haven't even gotten yet, which is a bard and a dragoon, which I'm working on right now. And that whole I'll have 2 whole sets of gear just waiting for them when they hit that level. And you can plan ahead like that. You get the right token you need. You can go right up to the vendor and buy the thing you want. And I love that system because I feel like, yeah, I'm grinding a lot of dungeons, but I get amply rewarded for my time that I've spent there.
Mm-hmm. I would much rather, go in with my team and know either, okay, I'm not getting a piece this time, but next time we raid, I'll get a piece, versus, okay, well, I'm almost capped on points, so hopefully when I get my box this time, I'll get what I need. That's the only thing that's kind of about this right now. And again, they had this implemented before with PvP gear, and the community hated it, to my knowledge. Mm-hmm. I wasn't playing at that point.
Oh, yes.
And now they're implementing it for raid gear.
Yeah.
No, just oh.
Yeah.
And are they taking PvP gear out completely?
They're taking
just getting ready to ask that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Even expertise crystals are switching to mastery crystals.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll just go into PvP. There's no special
gear, normal
gear, and wow. So let me ask you this, guys. I want us all to put our thinking caps on here for just a second. So if we're a brand new player and we're coming into Star Wars this hot second, what then does the gearing scene look like for the new player? Do you think it is easier then for them to never have to step into a raid and still walk out with some of the best gear in the game? Or do you feel like it's a disservice to a new player? I'm looking just for the new player's perspective right now.
I mean, so I'm going to play the devil advocate maybe.
Sure.
So this is just from people that I've encountered in the game. I think if you're a new player, it's probably going to be a little bit easier. One, because if it's based off your spec, you kind of can't go wrong. So basically, if you have an assassin who's in DPS spec, they're going to get DPS gear.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike if they're a DPS assassin wearing tank gear, or marauder gear, or operative gear.
Yeah.
I know that sounds strange, but I have encountered people. I've encountered a merc in demolisher gear. I've encountered sorks wearing tank relics. I've encountered all kinds of things because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
And sometimes helping them gains a positive response, like, oh my god, I didn't know, thank you. And sometimes trying to help them gains a negative response of, well, just let me play the game however the hell I want.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Language.
So
don't worry. Xenoff already closed his door. His mom can't hear you.
Okay,
yeah, right.
Good. Perfect. See, yeah,
neither can my dogs. So yeah.
That's right.
So I feel like it's going to be easier because it's going to go based off your spec, and you can't exactly go quote wrong unquote with your gear because the game's kind of feeding it to you on a spoon.
Yeah. Okay.
The other two can give their opinions if they want, but
yeah.
No, that's honestly exactly how I see it. I can't tell you how many times I'll see people in the wrong gear, try and help them about it, and I get told, mind your damn business, or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so that's how you react to somebody trying to help you and get you set up right so that you can do the harder stuff if you want to.
Yeah.
Cool,
Mm-hmm.
thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
If I may give kind of like a different perspective.
Sure.
Because
Sure,
we've had
absolutely,
two,
man.
we've had two that were, it'll be easier and blah blah blah. We were all new in this game, and with the current model it has, how hard was it for any one of us to figure out the quote unquote correct way to
I'll be
gear
honest.
or whatever?
I have someone feeding it
it's-
to me.
It's
You're welcome.
not.
This is
It
for
wasn't that much more difficult to, try a different way or, play the game as it was. Whereas instead of the game developers are now spoon feeding everyone.
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest,
Mhm.
when I was playing and I was on my assassin, I had someone making me gear. So I couldn't exactly go wrong.
Right.
And then when I was on my bounty hunter and in comm gear, Xenoff fixed my gear. So I had people spoon feeding me.
right.
Both with my assassin. I wasn't like stat perfect on my assassin because it was all crafted gear, but I didn't care because I didn't actually raid on my assassin. But for my bounty hunter, Xenoff helped me with my stats. I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
I'll be honest. I'm a little
Right.
bit better now.
But
Well,
we're all
actually,
like
you're gonna have to cut this a little short. So we're going with the new model, and our episodes are getting a little shorter. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up for my viewers out there, and I'll just throw in my last 2 cents, which is I actually don't do much rating anymore, and I think it would be cool to be able to get some of the highest quality gear in the game without having to step foot into a raid. But on the other hand, it sounds like the system encourages a lot of RNG, and that part makes it really difficult because it sounds like it's going to be kind of a grind no matter what, and kind of like a luck be with you. I hope the force is with you and strong to get the gear that you're looking for. Anyway, guys, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much. This is, again, Real Talk with Real Gamers. And, again, this was Szadek, Penny, Xenoff, and Zach signing off, and we'll see you next time.